Okay. I think Jeff is here. Jeff?
Yes. Hello, Dwar.
Okay. Go ahead. I was sharing my, go ahead. As we plan, you have to present first for a few minutes and I will go after that.
Sounds good. Okay, Dora, you have to stop your share. If you just click stop share so that I can turn around. Okay, thanks. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And it's nice to see everyone today. And I have the pleasure of presenting today with one of my trainees, Abdullahi Nwara, who I've worked with for a while in Mali. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the training program that I'm working with Dwara on. And Dwara is going to follow up and talk about some of the specific research activities he's working on now. So the West African Center of Excellence for Global Health Bioinformatics Training Program is one of several Fogarty training programs that were funded through the H3 Africa NIH H3 Africa initiative, and I'm one of the PIs on this on the project that is funded for Mali. And I'll talk a little bit about that now. Okay, so this was launched in 2017. It's a joint program between Tulane University and the University of Sciences, Techniques, and Technologies of Bamako, which is one of the components of the University of Bamako. The University of Bamako is a huge university, and the USTTB, as we call it here, includes the medical school, the University of Bamako's medical school, School of Public Health, and several other departments and schools. So the idea of this particular training program is to focus on bioinformatics and data science training and training in computationally intensive sciences. And like I said, we started in 2017. We have a strong collaboration with the African Centers of Excellence in Bioinformatics at Bamako. This is one of two NIH ACE centers, and what this is this is essentially a hub for performing computationally intensive research. The ACE provides primarily infrastructure that permits advanced scientific training and research. Okay, some of the infrastructure provided through this wonderful mechanism are computer teaching labs, which are immensely helpful, as you know, for training activities, and servers and other infrastructure that's necessary for computationally intensive sciences. We had our 5-year anniversary in March of 2020, and this is currently one of two ACE centers in Africa, the other one being in Uganda. Okay, the aims of this particular program are focused on building sustainable bioinformatics and research and data science training support that fosters to genomics approaches to address global health issues in Africa. This program focuses on 3 tiers of enhancement, essentially, for data science and bioinformatics research in Mali, and it focuses on faculty enhancement, curriculum, and student enhancement. some of the program highlights that we have here, these are some of the individual numbers, but the way that the program is structured is we regularly, so we have Tulane faculty who regularly go to the University of Bamako, and we also host trainees, both short and long term at Tulane University. In addition, you know, we to just the Tulane collaboration, we also support Molly's Master of Science in Bioinformatics program, which we provide financial support to students for attending this program. And we also provide financial support for pilot projects. These are just some of the things that we do as part of the curriculum and student enhancement. These are some of the numbers here. We've had quite a few trainees. We're in our final year of the project. But we, part of this, and Dwara is currently here in staying at Tulane as part of our study abroad component of the research training. So what we do at the study abroad component is we primarily aim to help trainees get their first, many times their first author manuscript, and sometimes as Dwara is working on more than that, but at a minimum, the trainees we host at Tulane, that's one of our primary focuses, is to build on whatever the trainees are working on as part of their research, and help them see that through to completion, to provide a first author manuscript. Some of the other things that we've done, so we've supported the Master of Science program at the University of Bamako. We regularly host trainees, as I mentioned, at Tulane, but we also provide annual symposia. So we have the only year we didn't have this was the year of the pandemic, which we canceled as many places did during that difficult time. But last year we had a virtual symposium. This year it will be in person, and so we provide it's more of a local symposium in Mali, and it you know, it's similar to other conferences and symposiums in the sense that it gives researchers an opportunity to researchers and students an opportunity to present their work and network and so on. So it's pretty conventional, where we have presentations, moderators, poster presentations, and so on, similar to other conferences and symposiums. And we also complement that with an intensive workshop, scientific training workshop for a smaller group of students to attend. So it's been very successful, I think, and we're getting ready now to host our fourth one in June. Okay, some of the as I mentioned before, some of the deliverables, we focused a lot on sustainability and measurable outcomes. One of the big ones is the publications. So each of our trainees here are expected to publish one paper as a first author. And I mentioned some of these other things later, but some of the things that we're developing as well. So we're supporting Molly's Master of Science program in bioinformatics, but we're trying to develop a study abroad program at the University of Bamako as well. Many of the students at Tulane are interested in studying abroad, and we think it's a great partnership to have. So that's something that's currently not finished, but it certainly is in the works. Okay, some of the things that we have certainly focused on is sustaining these training programs. Um, some of the things that we think are critical to the sustainability is thinking about this in a regional sense as opposed to a local sense. Um, Doing so really requires you to think about neighboring countries' problems as your own. This tends to, really make regionalization more possible, and also thinking about smaller countries that may not have a training program and engaging those countries in your own training programs. But we think regional thinking is a critical element to sustaining any type of training, any type of training program in this sense for the long term. Um, Institutional support. So one of the key elements for sustainability, we believe, is the institutional support for key elements. We were fortunate here to have been operating in a university environment where that is very not easy to do, but it's more practical, say, than being someplace that doesn't have um, um, core support for key elements. Other types, so universities obviously aren't the only place to have such sustainability. We've also had success. I've also had success in other projects in doing this at, say, hospitals. Government hospitals so sometimes have the capacity to support um, things that you've developed through the training program long term. They have a place to store it, they have a place to maintain it, and so on, as opposed to just building it up and having it collapse when you're finished. Leveraging other training programs. So we've done quite a bit of this, I think. So we've collaborated with other training programs, particularly the Nigeria, some of the training programs in Nigeria, where we host their trainees and they host ours, and so on. And collaborative research with this kind of goes hand in hand with regional thinking and in performing collaborative research with regional partners. Okay, that's kind of the big picture of sustainability. I think the local picture of sustainability looks more like this, thinking about how to maintain and build, frankly, computer teaching laboratories. These are immensely helpful for carrying out any type of training program. In our experience, we have really leveraged the ACE program that provided the the teaching computer laboratories we've used here, but those certainly need expanded, and we need more of them, and larger room size, more computers, and so on. But the teaching computer laboratories, I think, are a key need that we have. Institutional support for key elements. We were very fortunate to have a lot of administrative involvement in this program, and that certainly is a critical part of maintaining any type of training program. And through this training program, we did find ways to generate revenue, essentially, for sustaining the program. And some of this was done through developing new courses for the MSc program, and also more students in the program. So tuition revenue was something that we believe made the program more sustainable. We're currently developing some certificate programs we hope can contribute to that as well. Thinking outside of just bioinformatics and data science training programs is usually important for any type of training program. We've tried to include other types of training, like grants management, where we'll host some of the program managers at the University of Bamako and have them get some perspective, really, from some of the
sorry, Prof.
Yeah.
We've only got an hour for the entire meeting, so could you try and
Okay.
wrap up quickly, please.
Sure. Okay, so I didn't realize it was the time here. Oh, okay. Well, okay, so sustainability local picture is I won't mention some of these other things, but it's something that's probably a little different from some of the big picture sustainability. Some of the future direction we have, like I mentioned before, we want to develop a study abroad program at the University of Bamako. And currently this program focuses on primarily master's level training. We're very interested in pursuing and have pursued some training programs focused on more at the doctoral level. And this is a picture from one of our recent symposiums and some acknowledgements. And with that, I will hand it off to you, Dwara.
I was thinking that Professor Jeffrey would mention who to contact if anyone in the audience has an interest, because that would probably be important.
Yes, feel free to contact me, actually.
Yeah, Jeff,
I can put my
stop to share your screen. I will start because we
Yes.
have running.
I will put my contact information. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay, cool. Okay. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. My pleasure. Are you able to share your screen, Dwara?
No.
It looks like
Stop
you have
sharing.
to, first of all, unshare, and then he will then.
Oh, okay, I found it. Pause share. Okay, you should be able to do it now, Dwara.
No.
Your
I
turn.
cannot share.
Yeah, yours is still showing, yeah, so you can't pause, you have to stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now?
Yes, it's okay now.
Okay.
Okay. You can see my screen?
Yes, please go on.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm Abdoulaye Jawara from the African Center of Excellence in Bioinformatics of Bamako in Mali. I'm going to give a talk on epidemiological and the bioinformatics perspective and analysis for type 2 diabetes in Mali. So the plan of my talk will be as follows. I will start by giving the background of the topic and then give the epidemiology and the risk factor of type 2 diabetes. And this will be followed by some preliminary result I got and discussion I got from my current study. And after that, I will talk about the next step of my study. I will end up with the genetic and a bioinformatic analysis in diabetic research. So this slide shows the burden of diabetes in the world. As you can see, 537 million people worldwide are now living with diabetes. That means, in other words, if one has to create a country of diabetic people, such as country will be the third most populated country in the world. More, this number means that diabetes is the biggest pandemic in human story. So let me share with you the epidemiology of type 2 diabetes in Africa. As you can see in this slide, which slide show a prediction of type 2 diabetes burden from 2021 to 2045 in a different region of the world. For Africa, you can see in 2021, people living with diabetes in Africa were 24 million. The prediction is by 2030, there will be 33 million cases of diabetes in Africa, and 5 million by 2045, which is the double of the disease burden in 2021, making a huge difference in the rate of increasing of diabetes cases compared to the other region in the world. You can see in this map, no else region don't have more than 100 of increasing at part of Africa. And I will try to go to run for the time. And here is this increasing, I want to say, prevalence of diabetes in Africa is also true in Mali, our study site. Today, no nationwide health survives on diabetes, and all prevalence and arrest is done by simple estimation or by interpolation. In his last report, IDF estimated that 2.1% of Malians were diabetic. But this estimation is disputed by the Association for the Fighting Against Diabetes in Mali, which association estimates that more than 10% of diabetic were in Mali in 2021. In Mali, there is a lack of effective national diabetic policies affect, I want to say the lack of effective national diabetes policies affect the fighting against the pandemic in Mali. And here I'm trying to show the double burden of diabetes in Africa. As you may know, in the last 15 to 20 years, health system and research have been focused on tackling infectious disease. The race of no communicable disease like diabetes hasn't been seen as a priority, but lead to several gaps in the fighting against the pandemic, including the lack of knowledge about the disease among researchers. I will, Now I want to explain what is the diabetes. The diabetes is generally caused by a higher concentration of blood sugar, as you can see in panel A. The exchange of sugar between the cell and the bloodstream is regulated by a key factor that is called insulin. Hearing diabetes is characterized by a chronic hyperglycemia state, but can be classified in two types, type 1 and type 2. As showing in the panel B, type 1 is caused by the defect in insulin secretion, and type 2 is mainly caused by a failure in insulin activity. And nearly type 2 is about 90% of diabetes cases in adults. And here is some risk factor of type 2 diabetes. Diabetes is believed to have a strong genetic link, meaning that it tends to run in families. As you can see, the risk estimate for people who have one parent with type 2 diabetes is 40%, and with both parents with diabetes, it is 70%. But no everyone with a family story of diabetes will get it. The environmental factors also play a role. As you can see, the obesity, sedentarity lifestyle, stress and other nutritional factors and toxin can play a role for diabetes. Here, I'm trying to share a previous study on the genetic of diabetes in Africa. A recent investigation into the genetic variation in patients with diabetes from different parts of the world has provided additional insight to better understand the marked difference in diabetes pathophysiology between patients. Genetic variation and propensity for the development of disease have been investigated, and previously studies suggest that sub-Saharan African population are at the highest risk for type 2 diabetes because of genetic factors, despite the epidemiological observation that sub-Saharan African has a relatively lower prevalence as for Mali, compared with the most other regions in the world. When looking at the genetic polymorphism from patients around the world, in the context of human migration, patients in sub-Saharan Africa were found to have the highest likelihood of type 2 diabetes, providing a plausible explanation for this increased risk. As you can see here in Africa, more livelihood is linked to the genetic factor is red. You can see in Africa, and Mali is in West Africa. You can see Mali here. Yeah. And Mali, here I want to show that the Malian population is there is a plausible wide genetic diversity, because in Mali there is a total of for 20 million of population, there is more than 60 ethnic groups and more than 35 language and dialects speak in Mali. But to show that Mali can be a wide genetic diversity. And the big question is to know if Malian rural susceptibility, the population in Malian rural susceptibility for type 2 diabetes is genetically determined. For that, we investigate by doing a cross-sectional study. As you know, in rural area, there is a lot of physical activity, because of doing only the agricultural activity and pastoral activity. And then we went in Canada, and in 4 communities, we invited all villagers having more than 20 here to come for the screening. And the screening was done by questionnaire and fasting blood glucose test to determine no diabetic, pre-diabetic, and diabetic. And then we collect a blood for RNA-seq sequencing, and after that, bioinformatic analysis. And we have done also some biochemical analysis, when I'm going to show some results from that. The study population, Ganadugu is about 1,043 of people, and with 137 villages, mainly populated by a Fulani ethnic group and Bamara. and attracted by the agriculture and pastoral activity, as I say before. To investigate on diabetes in rural areas of Mali, we set to ourselves the following objective. The first was to determine the prevalence of and the risk factor for type 2 diabetes in rural Mali, and then identify the potential core genes in pathway involved in type 2 diabetes in rural Mali. And here I'm going to present quickly some results we got from this preliminary data we got. And you can see the prevalence in Ganadugu was, the overall was 7.3. And for woman, for female, it was a little bit high, 7.7. And for the men, it was 6.7. And this study revealed that the prevalence of type 2 diabetes in is likely higher in rural Mali than previously reported by agencies such as IDF. And I'm trying to show quickly some results about and among diabetic, as you can see, subjects testing positive for diabetes were unaware of the diabetic status. As you can see, it is about 67% of diabetic was unaware for their situation. I mean, they don't know they have diabetic before our screening. And some also having diabetes don't receive any treatment. It was about 77% of diabetes don't have a treatment also. And as I'm running time, I will try to skip some slide. And here, we see, you can see that the BMA is not linked to diabetes in this area, but I will talk about that in my next slide. What I want to explain is the macrosomia. As you may know, the macrosomia, the microsomia is the factor of a woman to give a baby over 4 kilograms. And this, the prevalence among no-diabetic was 14.5, and with diabetic woman, it was 37.5%. And here, invariant analysis suggest that hypertension, stature, and family story of diabetes were significantly associated with type 2 diabetes. The result of multivariate logistic regress analysis display that family story of diabetes and hypertension were independently risk factor for type 2 diabetes, and the difference were significantly, were statistically significant, I want to say. And here we investigate also the dyslipidemia, which is a abnormal amount of lipid in the blood. And as you can see, the rate of dyslipidemia among our diabetic was very high. As you can see, the overall was 77.8% of diabetic found in Ghana to have a dyslipidemia, was in the dyslipidemia situation. And for female, it was more than 80%. And for male, it was 72%. Yeah, the next step will be, as we already collect blood for sequencing from 10 diabetic, 10 pre-diabetic, and 5 control. And after that, when we will get data, we will perform a bioinformatic analysis doing differential gene expression and biological interpretation of gene expression data. As you may know, the main goal of human genetic is to identify a genetic risk factor for common complex diseases such as diabetes and Rard-Mendelian disease. For that, there is a several technology and study designed to address it. The most common are candidate gene, strategy, RNA-seq, and GWAS. And for RNA-seq, as you can see, RNA-seq is more sensitive in detecting gene differential expression and increase a dynamic range. As you can see, the differential gene expression analysis is one of the most common application of RNA-seq data. It determines genotypical difference between 2 or more conditions of cell in support of specific hypothesis-driven study, as in our case, having three groups, pre-diabetic, diabetic, and the control. To conclude, field study play a crucial role in this, accentuating diabetes prevalence, particularly in rural areas in lower resource setting where routine testing is not always routinely performed. The recent study showed the crisis of type 2 diabetes in Africa revealed the critical need for carrying out additional field study. In lower resource settings such as rural Mali, there is a crucial need to improve infrastructure for routine discipline screening, and a first step toward getting it prevention and intervention approaches. The finding here also provide a resource for building this effort to include the genetic study to better understand, treat, and mitigate type 2 diabetes in Mali and West Africa. Differential gene expression analysis provide a robust method for bioinformatics to explore the pathogenesis of type 2 diabetes in African population. Yeah, I would like to thank here my supervisor, Professor Mamadou Diakité, USTTB, and Dr. Talib Youssef from India, and the Director of African Center of Excellence in Bioinformatics, Mamadou Wele, and the Professor Seydou Doumbia, the PI of the grant, was supporting my study, and the co-PI Jeffrey in Tulane University. Thank you.
Thank you for that very exciting talk. I think I'm always excited on topics around epidemiology. So that's a very exciting talk on the diabetes, epidemiology, and genetics. So I'm just, if anyone has questions for Abdullahi, I think you can raise your hand or feel free to type them in the chat box. I think I can go fast. So regarding the genetic polymorphisms that make us as Africans maybe more prone to type 2 diabetes. Would you maybe shed some more light as to maybe which genes would be affected, or what SNPs maybe that we have as a population maybe? Yeah.
Yes, there have been a lot of SNP and genes have been cited for that. But as you know, there is a different population can have a different genes and a polymorphism. I want to say there is a specific gene for each country or each community. What is why we are trying to do to investigate in Mali. If no, before I have done some in Uganda data. I got some data from Uganda doing GWAS. We found some polymorphism linked to type 2 diabetes in rural area of Uganda, but is not, it can be, as you know, African population is very diverse.
Yeah,
And we cannot say that we found some genes and a polymorphism here can be applied for anywhere. That is why we still investigate on that.
I think that's where maybe the importance of a database like the H3A Bionet would come in handy, so that the different mini studies within Africa can sort of just deposit their data there. It can form a big repo for someone who wants to make that analysis.
Yes, that is true.
Any questions? So we have time for 2 quick questions for Abdullahi. Please feel free to ask your questions.
Can I go if no one else has?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Abdullahi. I liked your presentation, nice slides too. I actually just wanted to know what the diet is like in rural Mali and whether this has changed significantly over, let's say, the last 20 years.
Please repeat your question. I didn't get it well.
Okay, I'll try again. The diet in rural Mali, has that changed a lot over the last few years, and could that have contributed to the increase in diabetes?
Yes, this is a good question. In our current study, we investigate also on that. In our questionnaire, we ask what is the basic diet, and but we didn't finish all that, and is not. Yeah, I cannot say that the diet have play a role for that for now, but we are on it, and the analysis with a questionnaire is on, and we know that the most part in rural area is based on some cereal like popcorn, corn, and rice. But we are trying to evaluate if that can play a role for having diabetes in this rural area, but I cannot say that right now.
Okay, we have one more question in the chat. So Winfred is asking, could you shed some light on why we are seeing the prevalence of type 2 diabetes being higher in females than men in Mali, unlike the CDC statistics where men are twice as likely compared to women?
Yes, this difference we know maybe can be attributed by the massive participation of women, of female in our study. But we cannot say that the difference is statistically significant, because in our study we got more than male, female was participate. You know, in Mali, if there is something like that, there is seem to have more female than male. And when we such as study, when you ask people to come for something, you will get more female than male. And we think maybe it can be that, but we are, in our next presentation, we are sure to be able to explain if there is something about that.
Yeah, I think in calculating the prevalence, you can adjust for the sampling, and then that would give you a true value as to whether women are actually have a higher prevalence or not.
Yes.
So we are at the top of the hour. So unfortunately, we have to end the webinar here. Maybe you can share your email via the chat in case someone wants to reach out to you with further questions or for a more detailed discussion. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's webinar. I think we'll end here. So I'd like to pass a special thank you to our two speakers today, Abdullahi and Professor Jeffrey. Thank you for gracing us with your presence and your talks today. It was quite an interactive session. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting everyone.
Thank you. It
Thank
was
you.
a pleasure.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.